Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 17 of the Backspace Nomads. My name is Brian, and of course, my co-host for this wonderful show, the podcast host, formerly known as Monica Stussy herself. Monica, hello, how are you?
It's me.
It's me,
Stussy. I'm doing great. Monica Stussy is brilliant.
Can we change your middle name to Stussy?
I'm the Stussy.
I'm the Stussy. It's such a 90s nickname. Like, the Stussy's here, dude.
Yep.
On the pod today, we are going to be reviewing the PC release of Charlie Murder. And then MannDroid from the Fan Drunk Podcast will be joining us to discuss our gaming virginities and take part in his time of game. So Monica, what's up? How's your week been?
Oh, my week has just been great.
So good.
Ever since I was informed of the Netflix original show that's going to be coming out for The Witcher.
Spoilers ahead.
I am surprised I even have clothes on right now. I didn't think I was going to be able to manage this, to be quite honest with you. It has just been me and my toys.
Oh, God, stop. What the fuck?
Dude, I am so excited. No, joking aside, I need to see the show before I can commit to, like, twiddling the flicking the beam to it. But I am so excited for this show.
Yeah.
Like if they do a good job with it, it's gonna be so awesome. But I will say that the last time I was really excited for a show on like a nerdy level was ages ago. I don't know if you ever read the Sword of Truth series by Very Good Kind. But they made a Sword of Truth television show.
Yeah.
And it was basically like Xena meets something not as well written and
something a little shittier.
Significantly worse acting. And I was really disappointed. So, I don't want to get too excited about it. Like, I'm kind of planning things out. I've already ordered candles and that kind of stuff. But I don't want to, like...
Did you read the Witcher series, like whatever the book series is based on, or did you just play the games?
I've read some.
Okay.
Some of them. Some of the shorts.
Yeah.
And obviously played all the games. Mm-hmm. And so I am very, very, very excited about this.
Yeah, I'm totally pumped for it too. That's like...
Yeah.
I think like Netflix was searching for like a Game of Thrones type of thing, and like what a brilliant stroke. Like, oh yeah, The Witcher. There's already this huge nerd base for it because of the games, and I think that it like lends itself to like an episodic sagas like so well. Like every episode is like he's going after another demon or something, along with like this overarching storyline.
Yep.
I'm pumped for it.
Sure. And one thing like. People know this about me. They know how much I love this franchise. And so I didn't find out about this through like my own natural, looking on the internet. I was bombarded with it. I had people texting me about it. I had people tweeting me about it. Thanks, guys, making sure I was up to, that I didn't have to waste any time being aware that this was going to be happening in my life. But yeah, so I've just been really, really excited about that.
Yeah. For me, I know I don't want to talk about it too much because I feel like I bring up Overwatch enough on this podcast.
Yeah, but you have to be like rubbed raw at this point.
I am finally an Overwatch master. It took me a while to get to this point. It's a 3,500 rating. It's where the best of the best play. I just want to let everyone know I'm there. It's very exciting. I have a gold little icon on my portrait now. It's shining. It's glittering. It's
Holy
beautiful.
Shit.
Just don't get too intimidated that you're doing a podcast with a master of Overwatch. I'm still the same person. I'm still me on the inside. Okay.
I'm shaking in my boots.
And the only reason I really bring it up is because like going forward, we're gonna start playing games with the community and stuff. And I think Overwatch is one. Like if you're an Overwatch player and you listen to this pod. Hit me up on Twitter at Backspace Nomads, and I will definitely like play the game with you. You can join our Discord. We can converse, strategize about what we're doing. right?
Free time with a pro player, everybody.
Dude, most people are going to have to pay for that. I'll give our listeners to it for free.
Right, free.
Promo code Nomads.
Yeah. Where do they enter the promo code, though?
You can just tweet it at me. That's
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're not that professional yet. So the other thing, I bought tickets to MegaCon next week here in Orlando. Very excited to go to that. And I applied for a press pass on behalf of the Backspace Nomads podcast. So we'll see if it hits. We'll see if we get it. I guess that's how we'll see how legitimate we are as a podcast.
We may want to edit out this intro, though, on my part. Jesus.
Are you sure you don't want your you don't want us to flick the bean to your game and interview? So I'm pretty excited about that. If anyone from MegaCon is listening, don't if you heard what we said earlier, whatever. From this point on, it's a very serious, high energy, very listened to podcast, and you should just give me the press pass because why don't you want me there?
Thank you for joining NPR.
Dude, do you want me to do some jazz music in the background right now? Like,
Yep.
Make trumpet sounds. So I need
Best
something
jazz
from
music
you.
I've ever heard.
Monica, if you like, I want to ask everyone because I'm going to it no matter what. I'm going to ask a question to like every semi-famous person there. I need a really good question. So by the end of this podcast, I would like a really good question from you to ask everyone that I can record on my I bought a cell phone microphone, like a lapel one that I can hook into my cell phone. I'm just going to ask people this question.
Okay.
So that's something we should.
Will you have sex with me?
I mean, that's a boring interview. You just don't want to have a yes to every fucking thing, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Fuck. Okay.
You see this fancy
I'll come
new
up with
haircut.
a good one by the end.
So yeah, other than that, let's talk about some of the news going on in the nerd world. Gwent, which we both were big fans of and continue to play, is going into open beta May 24th. How excited are you for that?
I'm excited because I'm tired of beating these scrubs. I need a new. I need
some fresh meat.
Generation. Yeah. Actually, I'm pretty decent at the game, and that's without doing really any homework on decks.
Yeah.
Or anything. Like, I started reading about decks, and it's just too much work.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, man, this is just like these people put so much thought into this, and I don't care if I lose a couple, as long as I'm having fun. And so I might only be winning people that are like
the
new to the game or are like 12 and under.
Yeah. But
I'm comfortable with that. But yeah, I've really been liking it. So open beta, you guys should definitely check it out.
Yep.
If you haven't already, if you weren't involved.
It's totally worth the time. And then other than that, Destiny 2 released their trailer today. And that game is coming finally to the personal computing device. I am stoked for this.
I never played it, but I know a ton of people are just extremely excited. So
I played a little bit of the single player campaign on the console and less than that of the multiplayer, only because I didn't want to get back into console gaming. But I was loving every moment of it. I love the world that was like crafted around it. Peter Dinklage in my ear was fantastic. He has a very nice, soothing rhythm to his voice. So Destiny 2 on the PC is like some of the best news I've heard all week. Besides, seeing that I could get a press pass for MegaCon. Yeah. I'm very like nerdy about that. Like, I don't know. I seen that like press button. I was like, oh, let's see here.
Yeah, you guys can't see it, but Brian here also has a press hairdo now. It's very sharp. Yeah, very sharp. He's currently licking himself.
No, I'm licking my eyebrows. I'm making myself look better than I am. It's the finger lick to the eyebrows so that I am a well-mannered gentleman from the South.
Oh, I thought you were grooming yourself like a cat. I'm sorry.
No, please. I do that off the podcast, all right?
All right.
I don't want you to suffer through it. So let's get into our game review for the week. This week we were checking out Charlie Murder. Oh, hey there, Nomads. How you guys doing? Please excuse this brief interruption. in our game review of Charlie Murder from Ska Studios, we talk about how it doesn't have online multiplayer and that being a big negative. And Brian, actually gave it a thumbs down based on the fact that online multiplayer wasn't available to us. That is completely and factually false. The game has online multiplayer. You can play it with other people. It is a wonderful experience, and we wholeheartedly apologize to Ska Studios for our oversight. We are just a couple of dummies making a podcast, and we got this one wrong. So sorry about that, Ska Studios. This game is really fantastic. Everyone should check it out. Enjoy our thorough and less than comprehensive review of Charlie Murder. Back to the Backspace Nomads Podcast. Goodbye, everybody. From Ska Studios. Charlie Murder is on Steam. It first came out 2013 on the Xbox. This is a PC release of it. Came out May 12th for $9.99 on Steam. It's a indie punk rock beat 'em up. It's a punk rock apocalypse. Team up with your friends to lead an embattled punk rock band, Charlie Murder, in their epic quest to save the world from the rival death metalers, Gore Quaffer, and their legion of evil. RPG it up as you hoard insane loot to buff your character and look excellent. Earn fans to unlock powerful finishers, tattoos, and channel your anarchy. Get it? And uncover mysterious relics of the modern myth. What were you thinking about Charlie Murder going into it, other than that mouthful of an intro paragraph?
So I was a little excited about it, mainly because this is, like many of the things that I bring up, slightly unrelated to anything. But I am a huge fan of the Gorillaz, not just the music, but the actual art and the character behind that band. Mm-hmm. And the art style in this, as well as the characters, reminded me somewhat of the Gorillaz team. So
I can see that.
So I was excited about it. It also was rated M for mature.
Ooh.
So I was just like, what in this is going to, like, what kind of violence am I going to experience in this game? And so I would say in general, I was looking for kind of just almost like that Simpsons arcade where you're like running through and just punching everything.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting that, but for something to be a little bit fresher. I never played this on Xbox, so this is my first time trying it out, and I was excited. I was excited about it.
Yeah, me too. Like, I knew nothing about this game before you kind of linked it to me as a game we should play. I didn't know the Xbox game, but from the screenshots, like, I was on board. Like you said, it's like the Gorilla style. Yeah. Like,
that's all you said. You're like, these screenshots though, and I knew.
Yeah, because it is like the Gorillaz. Like, if you think like a Gorillaz meets the Behemoth art style, I think that's kind of where we're landing with that. And it just looked like there was the blood everywhere in these screenshots. So I thought the name was good. I was ready to get into this game. So let's just start talking about the things we liked about Charlie Murder.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the not obvious one.
Okay.
I liked the fact that there are different dynamics in this game. So there are different types of games within it. So, like, for instance, there's even a rhythm section where, like, you're playing a rhythm game.
Yeah.
So it's not as linear as just going through levels, punching through things, collecting some items, and moving on. They do a good job of keeping it creative as far as the type of game that you're playing, which I totally wasn't expecting. And I thought that was a really nice surprise. The actual, running around, killing everything was entertaining and fun to me. But then getting those refreshing moments where you're playing something a little bit different. They even have like a kind of, if you're playing multiplayer, kind of like a Super Smash Brothers, which I didn't get to play multiplayer. So just a heads up, I played single player, but I did want to see what multiplayer was like. So I watched some snippets of that. And you can play like in a, almost like a Super Smash Brothers style in a wrestling ring.
There was an online multiplayer, right? It was just like multiplayer on your own computer or LAN?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's co-op.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll jump like the rhythm sections in the game was like it's the way they kind of told the story. I thought them telling the story through the rhythm section parts was like a really good highlight, and that kind of ties into the music of this game, which I absolutely loved. This is a punk rock game. I grew up on punk rock. You know, I come from the city of Detroit, where punk rock was birthed.
I thought that's where electronic music was birthed.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know about electronic music, but I know like punk really got its roots from Detroit. So like I love this type of music. That led into the style. Like the whole style of the game was just really fucking cool. I feel like they were pulling a little bit too much on artwork and styles from other developers, but as a whole, the aesthetics of it were like a definite plus for me. What's something else about this game that you liked?
Well, you just brought up two things, dude. You said the style and the music.
Music is style.
And I agree with both of them.
All right.
So you win.
Is this the first game we agree on music?
Yeah, it is.
Nice. Punk rock, bringing people together.
I wouldn't necessarily say that like I grew up on punk rock. I was more of just a like grunge type of lady myself, but my brother had a full blown, shaved sides of the head, like
nice
8-inch mohawk, was wearing all the studs and patches and shit. Never showered.
Combat boots.
And smelled kind of like a teenage boy all the time. And so I am very well versed in the punk scene because that's all he listened to, literally. And so I actually really liked the music in this game. It is fun, and the fact that you're playing the band, that you can kind of it feels like you're listening to their music in a way, and it's that part of it was really, really fun. Last thing that I really liked is the art style. I agree with you. It wasn't necessarily anything brand spanking new.
Yeah.
But it follows an art style that works. It follows an art style that that has worked in multiple different instances, or rather cartoons, video games, etc., because it's fun.
Yeah.
It feels a little grungy. It feels a little punk. And I thought it worked well with what they were going for here, for sure.
Definitely like cohesive the whole way through. Like every part of every like asset they made for this game felt like it came from the same like place spiritually,
Yeah, that is true too. There are some games that we play where the art style like fluctuates depending on where you are in it. This was very fluid throughout.
Yeah. Next thing for me would probably just be the combat system. I thought, in a beat 'em up game, like you live or die by that, and they definitely live on it because all the combos, the mix of the range weapons, the swords, the hammers you can pick up, everything just like worked and felt like really good.
Parts.
Yes, like picking up the heads of the dead enemies and like just like throwing them at people or like smashing other enemies with it to get their heads to continue your head smashing. Like I loved it. I was completely into that, and the combo system just like being able to like combo people up in the air, and like if you hit the rhythm, it's almost like a music game, but like that's how you get your best combos, and that was like a solid. I don't know if that was intentional, but it was absolute highlight for me of this game.
So I slightly disagree with you, not in the sense of the creativity with the combat, but I felt as though one of my complaints with this game is that I felt as though the movements were sluggish. I always felt as though the character was moving like a second behind me.
Okay.
So, and maybe it couldn't have been a full second. It must have just been a split second, but it felt like slow. Even the fact that like if you're just running in a straight line, you start walking, and then you get to running, but it just feels like it takes a split second too long to get to the running stage, which was
I'll agree with that.
Kind of bothered me a little bit. I mean, it's a small thing to complain about, but it was prominent enough that I noticed it right off the bat, and I didn't really get used to it.
Sure.
So I agreed with the combat being fun, but those sluggish movements, like, they distracted me a little bit.
Gotcha. I think that's valid. I think the last thing for me... You're welcome. I am a validating person in my life. I make, people feel good about themselves. The last thing for me is the RPG item system. I thought was a really cool addition to the beat 'em up genre. I don't think too many beat 'em up games put RPG elements where you're actually like building a character, and you have like build types. You have to have a certain number or level of defense to be able to wear certain items, so you can actually have different types of build for the different types of characters that you play. I thought that was a really interesting skew on the genre that kind of merited, and like they earned the right to make a beat 'em up game because they added something that is genre bending. This just isn't a game that like, oh, we want to make a beat 'em up. They wanted to add something to that genre, and I completely think they did with the RPG system, with the items.
Yep.
Anything else?
I agree with that.
Any other things you liked?
I guess like that. Oh, I thought we were on to what we didn't.
I'm in the middle, I guess.
Oh.
All right, let's move on to
You're
the
all over the
things
place.
that we disliked about Charlie
I
Murder.
already said the sluggish movements.
All right, sluggish movements.
Yeah.
Do you want to go for another one, or you want me to jump in?
Let me sluggishly move into the next one that I want here.
Okay.
So you said that you liked the story,
Yep.
as far as them being more involved with the rhythm element of the game, which I agree with you. That part was really, really fun. However, I felt as though, like, I wanted more story from this, and I think that probably comes from, and this might be like, I'm saying this specifically because this is probably a personal thing, because of my obsession with like the gorillas, because of my like deciding that this game kind of allowed me like into that world a little bit, while still being its own. I wanted more about the characters. Like I wanted more bios. I wanted more information about them. I wanted more backstory about them, and I didn't feel as though I just wanted more. Which I guess that's good, right? Like they gave me enough that intrigued me. The storyline that they provided was like, okay, but what else? And so it's partially good because I want more, but partially bad because I'm left still wanting, you know?
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to the whole game. I felt like this game like hit a certain level of like being really good and then just felt flat with everything. I think the art style was like almost there. The storytelling was almost there. I think even though I like the combat system, I think what I was feeling is the sluggishness from you, where just the combat system, while it was fun, it didn't feel like it was there yet. And I think the biggest issue with things like not being there for me would be the control system. The controls for this game were confusing as fuck. Like Ska Studio, can you just help us out a little bit? This like you're porting a game over to the PC. Can you act like it? Can you give me some like direct, like should I be clicking my mouse? Should I be clicking my keyboard? I don't know what to be using for this game, and I had to figure that out on my own. And while that can be a cool gameplay element like we used to do in the olden days, that wasn't their intent, because they have like buttons for a controller. If you're playing this game on the Xbox, it gave you instructions like to use the X button or the A button for a regular controller. So it's not something they intended to do. It's just something they didn't change for their PC port, and I really didn't appreciate it. And I think, they hurt my feelings a little bit, honest, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't necessarily take care of the PC gamer in that regards. In fact, I think that's probably one of the hardest things is the exploration required in order to be able to play through. I wouldn't say that I found it incredibly frustrating. I think I was a little bit more patient in that regard, but as a whole, you do have to work your way through that, and so that's very important to note.
Growing pains. What's another thing you disliked about this game?
That's really it.
Really?
I mean, those are my three things. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think you like this game more than I did.
I think I did.
I think the menu system kind of sucked in this game. Like the cell phone menu system could have been expanded to be a little better. This is kind of pre-GTA, I think. I think GTA, maybe it's because I played GTA and their cell phone menu system really worked. This one just kind of didn't, and I think it goes back to the controls being a problem, but that's like kind of minor. I think this game overall for me.
I would say you can't compare this game to GTA either.
The cell phone system, like using the cell phone as a menu system to like scroll through things.
Yeah.
That's my point. No, this game is definitely not on the same level with GTA. They're a few $1 million probably short of development. I think my biggest issue with this game is just a overwhelming sense that I didn't want to keep going in it. I got to certain points where like I fought a really hard enemy, I died, I had to go back, and like I would keep fighting, I would complete it only because we're reviewing it and I have to be responsible and like give the game its fair due. But as like enjoyment wise, I just wasn't. I've played other beat 'em up games that I felt did it better, and I think that's working against it. Like this game reminds me massively of Castle Crashers from the Behemoth. And like I like that game way better. I think there are better beat 'em ups in the genre. I think the lack of a online multiplayer really hurts this game, and I think that's why I don't want to keep playing it because, I don't have friends in real life. So, what's your final thoughts on Charlie Murder?
Well, I also do not have friends in real life. But I'm okay with that, and I have accepted that, and I just pretend to be playing with friends. In fact, as I continue to play this game and hold my thumb way up high, because it is a thumbs up from me, I will just be looking back at my friends that aren't really there and be like, I just beat that guy. You guys saw that, right? and they will all nod their imaginary heads and be very proud of me.
Good job, Monica.
I liked it. Yep, I thought it was good. It's $10. I think, especially if this is your genre of game, it's a fun for the music alone. Just going through. I mean, I feel like it covers its bases there, and I found it very, very enjoyable. So big thumbs up for me. And are you a thumbs down then?
I might be.
Think you might be. Yeah.
I didn't play the whole game, so full disclosure, I didn't make it all the way through. But I don't think this game adds like an AI second player to play with you. In other beat 'em up games where you played by yourself, there would be like the Simpsons game. The AI computer would like throw in like Simpson or like Bart for you if you're playing as Homer. Like there would be people beating up with you, and I think just playing by yourself really hurt this game. This is like a mediocre thumbs down. I'm not like fully saying don't buy this game. It's just I think until this game puts in an online multiplayer mode, I really can't sell the recommendation on it. But like I was really enjoying it for what it was, but to get me to go thumbs up, they really need the online multiplayer or to add in some like AI people on your side to help you feel like you're part of something in the beat 'em up genre. I think that's a big thing. So thumbs up, thumbs down. We're in the middle from the Backspace Nomads for Charlie Murder. You can find it on Steam for $9.99. Published and developed by Ska Studios. We're going to go to intermission, and when we come back, MannDroid from the Fan Drunk Podcast is going to join us to share in a discussion about gaming virginity and then tell us his time of game. We'll be right back, everybody. Stick around. Thank you for sitting through that intermission, Nomads. We're coming back with MannDroid from the Fan Drunk Podcast. He is going to discuss his gaming virginity with us and then share with us his time of game. MannDroid is kind of the first non-gaming creator that we've ever had on the podcast. So first off, welcome to Backspace Nomads. Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
Let's tell us a little bit about yourself. What's Fan Drunk? How did you get into podcasting? Let's get the whole 20 questions in.
All right. Well, Fan Drunk is one of actually 2 podcasts I do. The actually other one's RetroCon, which is actually gaming. But Fan Drunk is like we just kind of pick like any franchise and we kind of discuss it, some aspect of that franchise. You know, anything anyone's like a big fan of. It's kind of in the name, Fan Drunk. RetroCon is kind of we go back and we talk about games that we had or anything we had in our childhood that like kind of was formative for us. We discuss kind of the impact it had, and then we go back and play it and decide whether or not we like it still or if we were going to change it or retcon it. So that's RetroCon.
Oh, that's awesome.
In my days, I'm a graphic designer for a software company. A freelance graphic designer when I'm not at a software company. Podcasting is just kind of something I got into by listening to a whole lot of podcasts, and I'm like, I've always been musical. I have bass behind me, so I've always been into like recording stuff. So I was like, I can record shit and I talk. I can just do podcasts.
Sure.
There you go.
So when you're playing these games that you had played in your childhood, how many of them, on average, like percentage-wise, how many of them match up to your previous history with them and what you were expecting?
Oh my god. Well, first, I've probably played more games than I've taken breaths in my lifetime. So
That's impressive.
that's a difficult question. I go back to Atari 2600. So.
Okay.
Oh wow. A historian of the gaming culture.
Yeah. So I don't know. We did Legend of Zelda, and I had only like very few things to change about that. We're doing Wolfenstein next.
Okay.
Wolfenstein 3D, and I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna change much about that, but I think my co-host wants to change a lot about it. So I don't know. We're still in the infancy of that podcast. We're gonna find out more.
Yeah. I feel
we
like
go along.
when I go back and play games, it almost always ruins it for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Unless
you're crazy.
there are specific games that, well, you know what? I'm not surprised you think that. But there are specific games that have held up, but some of them I go back and like, and I've just learned my lesson. Like, I just won't touch them a lot of times because I want to like hold on to that nostalgia and that like the awe of it all, you know?
Yeah.
You don't want to go back to it with your greasy adult hands and put smudges all over it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want my like cynical nature now.
All your
which I
adult
don't really
problems.
have. Yeah. I'm just like, oh man, horrible day at work, and I hate this game now. Oh,
Screw Donkey Kong and his stupid smug smile.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what life, terrible things happen in
my
life.
boss.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I know.
Stupid
for
tie.
me, I've listened to both of your Fan Drunk podcasts. You can find them over at Fan Drunk on Twitter. Those like pods are really fun. How'd you come up with the idea to do that type of a podcast? I think like both your podcasts, you have really great ideas for what a podcast can be, like a theme. It's like, how did you come up with like Fan Drunk and like focus on that area?
Were you drunk and were you a fan of something?
I was a fan of something, and then I got drunk for the show.
Oh, okay.
But no, actually, it's funny you bring that up because my co-host, who's the Major on Twitter, she changes her Twitter handle all the time. I don't know what it is right now. I think it's like now it's like at this Major or something like that. Anyway, she and I were both on a Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine show called Drunk Space Nine, which you had to be drunk to go on, and we discussed episodes. And we kind of were talking after that, and we're like, you know, it'd be cool if they had this kind of format just for talking about anything that we're into, and just kind of jump around pop culture and talk about whatever.
Yeah.
One of us will be drunk.
What?
It is, yeah.
Very cool. Is there a home base, kind of where they can find your podcast uploaded? iTunes, Google, like what do they search for to find you?
Sure. If you look for 82-bit studios, you can go to 82bitstudios.com. We have links to all our stuff there. You can find us on iTunes and SoundCloud, and just Google 82-bit studios or Fan Drunk or RetroCon.
Sure.
You can find them on the internet.
There's this giant worldwide network of computers
It's
that
a
you
series
can
of tubes.
tap into.
Yeah.
It's like
All right, so
electric yarn.
the first thing we're gonna do to kind of get MannDroid here comfortable with our weirdness is to talk about our gaming virginities. I know, Monica, this is your idea to like lead us into this. What are we doing with this segment, dude?
Oh yeah. Well, I was thinking when you're like, oh, we're gonna have MannDroid on, and I'm like, okay, well, we should find out about his gaming virginity, and that's immediately what I thought, and I was like, that's important for everyone to know about, and basically what this is, it's not so much about your gaming. I don't really even care about your virginity, okay?
Okay.
I want to know what game you like kind of lost your virginity to, and this is for you too, Brian. It's for me.
Okay.
It's for everybody. And would you, in hindsight, with all of the other experiences that you've had afterwards, replace it with something else?
Sluts.
Or was your gaming virginity special in and of itself? So I guess, we'll start with Brian.
All right. So, I had a bunch of relationships with different games in my youth. Nothing too serious. A few pecks, a few bean flickings here and there. Nothing too crazy though.
Oh God.
But the game that really lost my gaming virginity to, that I remember to this day, would had to be Kid Chameleon from the Sega Genesis. Kid Chameleon was a action platforming game, which it was like every other action platforming game out there at the time. A lot of games during that era copied each other. The unique twist to Kid Chameleon was that there were different hats you would pick up throughout the levels, and the hat you would pick up would change the type of character you played as. So you start the level as a ninja, playing through the level with a ninja hat on, and then you'd pick up a knight helmet, and all of a sudden you'd be a knight with different abilities and a whole different skill set, and that's how you play the game. And I love this game. I think fondly of it. Anytime everyone brings it up, oh, what was your first real game? I am more than excited to talk about Kid Chameleon with them. But it's just, I don't know. There's been things afterwards that I wish would have been my first. And I think the game that I really wish took my gaming virginity, the game that really, as Bonnie Ray would say, rocked me like a man, was Dark Age of Camelot. It was my first MMO experience. The amount of hours I put into the amount of broken relationships caused from Dark Age of Camelot are countless. I don't have a high school life because instead of going to prom or fulfilling my obligation to the date I had at homecoming, instead I went and I played Dark Age of Camelot. That game was the big hype in MMOs right now are RVR and PvP. The first game to really bring that to to really hype that up was Dark Age of Camelot. It was all about action. It was all about putting yourself against other people and seeing who's better. There was a ton of teamwork in it, so it really taught me about group things.
Sounds kinky.
It is a little kinky. There's a lot of spells, a lot of staffs. Some gnomes if you're into that type of stuff. So Dark Age of Camelot for me would be the game that I wish I could go back, and that would be my first, because
okay,
what a gentleman of a game.
Oh yeah. God. All right, man.
Is that how we do the segment? Is that?
Yeah. No,
okay.
Totally. I loved it.
Okay.
I think and I'm surprised too. I'm wondering if I'm gonna hold off on what I was about to say.
All right.
MannDroid, what about you? Who or what did you lose your gaming virginity to? And
this is kind of this is hard for me because I kind of regrew back my gaming hymen at some point, I think.
Yes.
I had older brothers, so the first actual game I played was probably Fishing Derby on a 2600. I have no recollection of other than a freaking shark going like this up to the top of the screen.
Yeah.
But I think the first game that really showed me how powerful it could be as an actual experience was when I got my first PC, and we got the very first Wing Commander.
Ooh.
And we got a sound card. Before that, computers just did beeps and boops. You're Nintendo had some music and whatever, and that was cool. and everything was a platformer on Nintendo. But like Wing Commander was like there was a story, and you can go into friggin' space, and you can shoot cats, and I hated cats when I was a kid. And the space cats, all right, they weren't really cats. I'm not
the most dangerous.
A serial killer, exactly. So yeah, like it had like twists and turns. It had a multi. What it did that other games didn't do was actually had like a multi-flaring kind of mission structure where if you had a losing mission structure, the story arc wouldn't end. You just go down the shitty side of the story until you got to the end of the game, and it was a different, worse ending.
Yeah,
and we kind of take that for granted now because every game has different endings, but like it's still more linear now than it was in that game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, other than playing like I don't know, a lot of Frogger, Pac-Man. I think a game I would want to go back and like I wish was my first game was the very first Deus Ex, which came out in 2000. Which like that game just philosophically, like it's like, oh, usually I'm not supposed to learn things from video games, but like
sure,
I'm ashamed to say that a lot of how I understand like government and politics and stuff comes from like spending like 45 hours playing that game.
Don't be ashamed of that.
No,
it's better than reading
really.
a book.
It is.
It is.
It has moving pictures. But yeah, so
Deus
I
Ex.
guess that's my Deus Ex.
I regrew my hymen, my gaming hymen.
It reformed. The hard carapace shell it needed breaking.
You're a reclaimed virgin. They're
Born
again.
Exist now. You're born again. Yeah, those exist now. They're called reclaimed virgins.
That sounds violent.
Okay, so for me, yeah, that sounds violent. It kind of does actually. So I guess for me, I'm actually, I don't think I'm gonna change my virginity here. Though I will say that similarly to Brian, there are some kisses, there is some fooling around before the true loss.
Yeah.
However,
don't make it sound so dire. The true loss.
The true loss of myself. So no, but here's the thing. I had really low standards. And so
that's how this podcast got started. Just
yeah.
Oh, he has a microphone.
And the very first, I shouldn't call this a game, but the very first PC that my family owned was given to us for free by an aunt and uncle, and they gave us this PC for free, and my parents accepted it because it was a PC. Like, of course we're gonna accept it. It's free. Well, it didn't work. And the only program that would run on it was, I'm pretty sure it was TurboTax. And so I was like 7 years old.
Nice.
And
did you lose your gaming virginity to TurboTax?
I learned. Well, let me get there.
Those exemptions.
And so my brother and I would fucking turn that puppy on, and we would file our fucking taxes, dude.
Like, Dad, I wish we would do this more than once a year.
Oh no!
Sorry.
Not only that, we enjoyed it because we found a glitch in the software where if you filled it out incorrectly in a specific way, you could make an error pop up that said, "I am a rock." And as a small child, that was the best thing that could ever happen in a game like TurboTax.
Good Lord.
An error? I don't know if that was an error.
I'm so sorry.
That sounds a little premeditated. I am a rock.
It does seem like it was a little premeditated.
It's probably like some sort of code phrase for like Enron or something.
I know.
Right. I know.
Dude, I didn't mean to blow your story. I didn't think you really lost your gaming virginity to TurboTax. But of course you would.
No.
Of course you would. God damn
But here's
it.
the thing. I would say that was one of my first kisses. Like,
Okay.
Because that's, whatever. I think the game that I lost my gaming virginity to is really going to be Myst.
Ooh.
And I loved that game. I have gone back and tried replaying it, you know, the enhanced versions and everything.
Mhm.
But that game was creepy.
Yeah.
And I will never forget elements of it, that feeling of loneliness, especially as a child. It's almost, Myst is almost too adult for kids because it's so isolating.
Yeah, you're not
And-
ready for it as a kid.
Yeah, it was a really intense experience for me, and so, you know, going from TurboTax straight into Myst later on was like, what have I been doing my entire
because
life?
spreadsheets are not isolating at all.
Right. Well, the creepiest part of Myst is that you hear the ocean, but the water never moved.
Oh shit, dude.
There's some crazy fucking Twin Peaks shit going on there.
There was a lot of weird stuff. So yeah, I think you guys are changing it up, but I'm gonna keep mine the same. I think Myst was probably my is the game that took my gaming virginity, and I'm sticking with it.
Nice. So PC gamers here.
Not-
I
I was hoping for
constantly-
Lotus books, but
Lotus books. Oh man, what was that like keyboard, like typing game that they had? Mavis Beacon. You guys ever play that shit?
No.
Okay. Woo.
it teaches you how to type.
It teaches you how to type. It's very exciting.
It's
Sounds
exciting.
right up my alley.
So
It was totally my thing.
that's like one of the weirdest segments we've done on the pod so far. I love it though.
It's true.
All right, so let's move into our Time of Game with MannDroid. Time of Game is a segment we do where we bring gamers on to share their personal stories on how games affected their life and how parts of their lives affected their gaming. So, MannDroid, first off, thank you for doing this. What is your Time of Game?
Tell us all about you.
All right,
But
let's
only
see.
one little tiny segment.
All right, well, you'll find it defines a lot about me, this story.
Okay, good.
Not really. But in 2004, I want to say April, I don't know how old I was. I must have been like 21. I was 21 at the time. And I was playing Deus Ex Invisible War, which was the sequel to Deus Ex. Wasn't very good. It was a decent game. It wasn't a very good Deus Ex game. But the worst part about it was that it was consoleized. I had the PC version, so they ported it.
Sure.
And it ran like shit up the road in the middle of winter. And my parents, well, my mother had just remarried at the time. My parents divorced a couple years earlier. And so my stepfather and my mother were going on their honeymoon, and I was living at home. I had the whole place to myself. This is great. They were in like Aruba. So, you know, I'm playing the game. I started in like my second playthrough. I'm trying to do like this stealth playthrough of the game and stuff. And I don't know, a few hours into it, the computer's getting hot. This thing would just like it would overheat, and I had to like shut it down at a certain point. So I'm playing it, and a knock is on the door. So I get up, the dog's barking. I go downstairs, and I open the door. There's two policemen, two Londonderry, New Hampshire policemen. And I'm like, "Can I help you?"
Some of the finest.
They're like, "Yeah, is Michael Mann here? Are you Michael Mann?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "We have a warrant out for your arrest."
What?
You
Oh,
naughty.
No. So, all right. So if we flash back a couple years prior,
Here we go.
I had just graduated high school. I was dating a girl before I graduated high school, where over the summer she just kind of like went to this camp and came back and told me, "Hey, I'm a lesbian now." So I was kind of messed up.
Yeah.
And so like for a few months I'm like, what the hell did I do? So nothing against
What you
anybody. It's
didn't
just
do, all right?
exactly. Okay. Talk about flicking the bean. So sorry. So a few months later, like my grandfather died, and my parents would like just talk about divorcing and whatever. So I'm like, this beard I've had since that time. I think just because I became so cynical at that point, I needed a beard.
Yeah.
I haven't shaved it since. But so I was talking to the girl again. I don't know why, because she pissed me off. But she's like, I was talking to her online or something. And she's like, I'm telling her about this stuff. She's like, "Do you want to go something to eat?" I'm like, maybe something will turn around or something. So we go out to dinner at Applebee's.
Oh,
I have to pick her up because right.
2 for $20.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you
probably
give a
2
tip
for
all in
15
change
back
because
then,
you
yeah.
know you're
Yeah.
a cheap ass 19-year-old. But I had a 1987 Buick Century, and I picked her up in it, and we went to Applebee's, and we ate and we talked, and she left. I think she got picked up by her parents. I was there alone for a little bit, and I left after. On the way there, actually, so let me backtrack. Driving to the parking lot, and there's this big ass like van. There's I don't know how many pedophiles have owned this before this guy had it, but it's got these giant like metal bars like on the wheel wells, and I'm pulling in, and I freaking hit him with my tire. Hit his wheel well with the tire.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit. And she's like, pull out and park somewhere else. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I pull out and I go to another spot. People clearly saw this happen. It was a hit and run. We went inside, we ate, we left, and then like I guess on the way out, the cops had just arrived. Like it was like a freaking TV show. Like the car pulls out, cop car pulls in. They come in, they ask for me. I've already left. That was 2 years prior. After that, I already had a phone call from the police department. I gave a statement. I talked to like the sergeant. Like I was scared shitless and whatever. They're like, okay, thanks for filing the report. If we need you again, you'll hear from us. 2.5 years later, the cops are now at my door.
Yeah.
Telling me I'm under arrest. So they arrested me. They're right there.
No.
Like, can I go inside and like, you know, take care of the dog? They're like, no, you have to come
Can I
with
go
us.
save
Okay.
my game real quick, officer, please? Like,
Well, this is yeah. So I get booked. They put me in the back. I get to ride in the back of a cop car. I'm like, yay.
Did you know? You
Badass.
knew what you were getting arrested for, obviously, right? They were
No.
like, you. Oh,
They just
you
told me
didn't
I had a
know.
warrant for my arrest. I didn't know until
Oh
I
my
got there and they
gosh.
processed me. So I'm at the place, and I guess this is a kicker. The guy's partner in the car is like looking at the paperwork, like, oh, you know, it looks like someone was just cleaning out their desk, and they had a warrant. They're like, that's great.
oh, no.
Thanks, assholes.
It's for
So-
real. Someone
And
gets
it's for a whole
fired.
other town. It was from the adjacent town. So someone in the adjacent town was like, I don't know, go contact the asshole over at asshole station to get this asshole in here. So
You put a few
So-
assholes together, you're gonna have a problem.
it's a big problem. And so we get in. I'm in there. They put me in a cell for a little bit while they do the processing. They're like, okay, well, we're going to transfer you to the town that you're actually wanted in. It's like, okay, so they drive me there. They put me in a cell. The people there are bigger jerks. Like, the guys in my town are kind of nice. These guys are like
Yeah.
complete assholes. They put me in an actual cell. Like, I stood in an actual cell. I got the phone call. I called my brother. Both my brothers. One brother's like, it's kind of late, Mike. I don't want to pick you up. Thanks. The other one was like, the wife was pregnant, so she's like, I can't leave. She's about to have a baby. Like, I understood that one. The other one's like, you know, like, it'll sort
Yeah.
itself out,
How
you
did
know.
your brother not come
I'm
pick
like-
you up from jail, though, man? Come on.
And I didn't actually do anything. It was 2 years in the past. I filed the report. The statute of limitations ran out. Like, the whole thing got thrown out of court. Like,
Yeah,
My
yeah.
mom got a lawyer, and they're like, yeah, like, they're out of time to do anything about it. Like, whatever. So, no one's driving me home. I'm a town over. I walked from the police station at night.
Oh,
Like, I
wow.
think it was raining. I walked, I don't know how many miles. It must have been like 8 or 9 or 10 miles. I walked all the way back home, got to the house. The dog greets me like nothing happened. Actually, no, the dog was dead at that point. There was no dog. I remember being a dog. Oh, no, we
Oh.
had a new dog. Okay,
I
the
thought
dog
it
doesn't
died
matter.
in
Forget about the
your
dog.
truck. Okay. Wow.
It was the
You
same
were
breed,
supposed
so
to
they kind
feed
of
the
ran
dog,
together.
and you did it.
Shit.
No.
I was already starving him for weeks. That one moment mattered.
Yeah.
No. So I get in and I smell something like burning. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go upstairs and my video card had overheated. The computer was off.
No.
It smelled like burnt plastic. And yeah, so I owe the Derry Police Department for destroying my Radeon 9700 back in 2004.
Did you build it? Like, holy crap, dude.
I had to get a new card. It didn't kill anything else, but it stank. I was like,
Yeah.
I
So-
mean, you guys, I know, like, my laptops, everything, like, sometimes I'd put ice on them. I'd have ice packs, you know? You had to get clever back in the day. They didn't have these cool
Liquid
gadgets,
cooling.
like
didn't have these strange
liquid cooling and whatever.
fan devices that could spin and magically
Yeah.
push air particles.
These didn't exist. It was like you you had to blow in it like an old cartridge or something. I don't know. I literally used to use ice packs, and I just set them on a pillow in between the pillow and like my my lap, and it would cool, and it would make my pillows all wet, and then I'd just sleep on soggy ass pillows.
What the fuck?
Nothing.
In retrospect, maybe I should have used different pillows.
I am an individual. I'm a unique individual. God damn it. But yeah, that's freaking crazy. So that night they let you go that night. They processed you, but then they let you just go
Yeah,
when they
they're like,
realized they
they're
had
like,
no
oh,
reason.
no one's coming to get you up. They're like, where's your buddy? What? I have a buddy system. Am I supposed to designate a
I'm
buddy?
a gamer. I don't have buddies.
It's like, I don't know. It's like 10 o'clock at night. Like, you guys didn't pick me up till like 8:30 or something, and I've been there for God knows how long. But yeah, and it had to be
How
the one
small
game
of a
that
town were you
overheated.
in?
Let's see. It wasn't that. It was like I live in New Hampshire, so for me, a big town would be like maybe 40,000 people. I think Londonderry was like 26,000. Derry was a little bigger, where the actual warrant is.
Like, were these just like some bored drunk cops on a fucking Thursday night? Like, well, Bill's got a warrant. Well, I got nothing else to do.
I think Bill got fired to clean out his desk. He was like, look all the shit he had done. Let's arrest these people.
Yeah.
No wonder he got fired for never going after any of the warrants that he had.
Bill was a good guy.
Right, exactly.
He was a good guy.
He was like, I'm not going to arrest this kid.
He was protecting
I'm going to leave him alone.
I take it all
And then
back.
they were like, Bill hasn't arrested anyone in 2 years. You got to let him go.
Yeah, he's not meeting his quotas. Get Bill out of here, all right?
Yep, exactly. Oh my God, that's freaking amazing.
So your warrant was for hitting someone's like wheel well, like their rim?
Yeah, like my tire hit their tire essentially.
Yeah.
They talked to the
It's a
owner
bumper
like
car.
during. Yes, it was just we're in a derby. We kept going around in circles. I don't know why my 87 Century was allowed on this track. No, no, like they talked to the owner after I gave the statement, like when it happened. And they're like, there's negligible damage. You probably won't hear from us or anything like that. I'm like, okay,
Right.
that was it.
How's
2
that turned
years
to a
later,
warrant?
I was wanted for murder 1. I don't
Have you ever
know.
reached
I don't
out
know.
to-
They never
to the
explained
man with the van and written him a letter letting him know the long-lasting impact of his tire on your life.
Should I Craigslist this guy? Should I be like,
Yes.
misconnections?
Oh my God, yes.
Whoa.
Oh my God, I love Craigslist misconnections. Do this. Yes. If you do this,
Yes.
I will. You know what? Screw it. I will write one for you. Most of the time, like, it's just easier if I take charge and make these things happen because, you think I'm joking, but I really want you to find the van man, and I will help you.
Van Man. He's like a
Van
Mega Man
Man.
character now. Like,
Yep.
he's Van Man.
Van man. The
He
old
throws
van
candy.
Man. That's amazing, though. That is amazing. So, how long did it take before you were able to replace your computer? Did you finish the game? What was your downtime like? Because I know you didn't necessarily get locked up for permanently, but it sounds like they locked your computer up. So, what was the prison sentence for that?
I think I was sitting on this bank from I worked for a law firm for half a year for contract doing graphic design stuff in Boston.
Oh,
So
that's pretty sweet
I made
for...
more money than any person my age deserved to have.
Right.
And I spent it like
yeah.
that too. So I was like, screw this, I'm just buying a whole new computer, and I did.
Nice.
The next
okay.
weekend or something stupid like that. It didn't overheat again, but I said,
stick it to the man.
fuck this game. It's
Yeah.
poorly optimized shit.
Can't
That's a
hold me down.
hilarious story. What happened with the lesbian chick? Was she an accomplice? Was there a warrant for her?
Brian, of course you would. You're
What?
like, is she still a lesbian?
I
don't
think
That's
so.
not concerning to me.
I might have
Full
actually
round
omitted
story.
that she was ever there in the story because I didn't want to implicate anyone else
Nice.
because that's nice.
Oh,
Smooth.
well, now Brian's
Probably
trying to
obstruction of
implicate
justice
her.
or something in their conflict of interest.
You can get away with that nowadays.
but I'm a friend to the LGBT. I don't know the acronym. I'm too drunk.
TQ.
TQ. Thank you.
Brian's got you covered.
Committee. Community. There's not a. Is there a committee? There should be a committee.
I don't know.
We need a committee for things. Let's form a committee.
I'm down. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing your time at game with us and sharing your gaming virginity with us. How special of us.
Oh.
Got it. You can find MannDroid on Twitter at MannDroid, MannDroid. You can also find him on his podcast, Fan Drunk and Retrocon. You can find all of that at 82bitstudios.com. MannDroid, thank you so much for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me, guys.
Yep,
This is fun.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for episode 17 of the Backspace Nomads podcast. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.